Well, if you remember last summer on Oklahoma Gardening, we showed you how we constructed and planted our rock garden, and we even showed you a few of the plants we planted. Well, since then we've added quite a few, and some are quite unique. So in this edition of the Plant Collector's Garden, I just wanted to show you a few of those new plants. For instance, this little plant right here. Now at first glance you may think, well, that's a dead plant or a grass that hasn't come out of dormancy yet. This plant is supposed to look like this. This is a leatherleaf sedge, and the plant has no green in it. Instead, you get this beautiful coppery color. Now this is a sedge, and sedges are closely related to the grasses, but they are different than the grasses in that the section of stems are triangular in shape. Now if you look at this piece of nut sedge, a common weed in our lawns here in Oklahoma, you can see that triangular shape to the stem. Well, the leatherleaf sedge comes to us from New Zealand, and sedge is typically like a moist or bog type area, but this one is doing just fine in the well-drained soil of our rock garden. Well, now I want to show you a few plants in the lower part of our rock garden. If someone were to ask me which was my favorite plant in the rock garden, I don't know that I could just pick one plant. But one of my favorite plants would have to be this yellow ice plant. Now on our show before, we've talked about the pink hardy ice plant like we have in our garden railway. Well, this plant is also an ice plant. It's in the same genus, Delosperma, but this one is much more compact. It's very low growing and mat forming, and it's got these brilliant little yellow flowers. This plant is from South Africa, and it likes a lot of sunshine and a well-drained soil. This is the yellow ice plant. Well, speaking of yellow, we have another yellow plant over here by our pathway in the rock garden. And the yellow from this plant is in its leaves. This is the golden Veronica. The cultivar is Trehane. And you get this nice golden foliage contrasting really well with these blue flowers in the late spring and early summer. This plant also likes full sun and a well-drained soil, but it also needs a cool place to grow. And you may be thinking, well, how is it going to stay cool nestled amongst all these hot rocks? Well, the rocks are the key here, because underneath these rocks, the soil is much cooler, and this plant has its roots tucked up underneath these rocks where it's shaded, and it provides a nice cool root run. In fact, that's true for a lot of the plants here in the rock garden. This is Veronica Trehane. Well, I have one more plant I want to show you today, and this is a toad lily, or Tricyrtis. And this is the cultivar Amethystina, and you can see how it got that name because of this purple color here in the petals. And we're not going to plant this plant in our rock garden. This plant's going to be planted in a shaded spot in our perennials because it comes from the forests of Taiwan. And we've always been wanting to grow one of these, so we were very excited when Wayside Gardens sent this to us. But this is, again, the toad lily. Well, that's all for the Plant Collector's Garden.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.